Hey, how's it going? Welcome to this live today. You're gonna want to watch this because today we're gonna talk about why they want you to eat bugs. Yeah, no joke. We'll get to that in a minute, though. Today's subject is about food shortages, coming food shortages, what you need to know when it comes to your pocketbook, when it comes to shopping at the grocery stores, basically just living, what the future brings and what I see is coming. Who am I? My name is Kevin Porter. I'm running for Congress in Florida's U.S. Federal Congress in Florida's 11th district west of Orlando. Now, this is relevant for everyone. So if you don't belong to that district, you can't vote for me. That's completely fine because this is relevant for you, for your family, for your loved ones, for everyone you know. And if you enjoy what I'm saying today, I want you to make sure to comment and say hello, who you are. I'd like to get to know you. Also, repost this. Follow me if you love what I speak to you, what I tell you today. If you're enjoying it. So I would like to start this off by telling you about a dream that I had. Yes, a dream. And this dream alerted me to something going on in the United States of America that I wasn't completely aware of. I had seen and heard about it. And as you have as well, when we go to the grocery store and we notice that prices are increasing, something's going on. When's the end of us? What's going to happen? What's the future going to bring us? So, anyways, I had this dream and it really alerted me and woke me up to something. In the dream, I dreamt that I was going into a supermarket, common supermarket, wherever you may live. As I was walking through the doors of the supermarket, I had one goal in mind. I wanted to go to the deli section and get a nice cut of beef to have a steak or two or whatever for the family, right? It could very well be any other food. If you're vegetarian or vegan or whatever, this just understand the symbology in this dream. So as I'm walking back towards the deli section, towards the deli counter, where they put the choice cuts of the meat, you've probably seen it before. The best select choices or cuts or whatever you want to call it, they're kept in a special section for themselves in the deli section. So I go back there to talk to the butcher to get a cut or two, a steak or two. And I noticed that the steaks are gone. All the beef is gone. The only thing left is chicken, and a lot of different size chickens, right? There's big chickens and little chickens, lots of chickens, but there was no beef to be seen or found. I thought that was strange. I was like, that's weird. So I looked to the right, and then to the right in this dream, there's that, the fridge section where you have all the cut out pieces of meat, the steaks, and the different cuts where you can go grab a pack and bring it home, throw it in your shopping cart. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. Well, I go to that section to the right of the deli counter, and I look, and it's all gone, right? So I go to the back to the fridge section. I open a door to peek back where they keep all the stock of the fridge of the meats and stuff, and it's empty. The light's off. So I turn on the light. I'm thinking this is strange. And there's a woman back in the back corner, and I ask her, "Where did all the beef go?" And she says, "It's gone." And back there, they're starting to store other stuff, other merchandise, how to use it as a stock room because the beef was gone. I said, "Man, what is going on?" So I walked to the front of the store towards the cash registers, and I found a worker, an employee there. And I asked the employee, I said, "Hey, look, I'm looking for some beef. I can't find any anywhere in the store. Do you know where I can get some?" He says, "No, I have no idea." Um, but he says, "I tell you what, I'm going to help you get some cheap store credit so that you can get some other stuff instead because, we're letting you down." He says, "All you got to do is go over here, buy some clearance items that will give you some give you some bonus points apparently for the store." I don't, and with those bonus points, I can use this store credit and get some other stuff. I said, "Well, I appreciate that. Thank you." And he told me that trick. So as I woke up from this dream, it made me think. I said, "You know what? The prices of beef and everything else essentially have just been skyrocketing. You may have noticed this as well. It's putting unnecessary pressure on our budgets. Why is that? What is going on? What does this dream have to do with anything? I mean, you may believe that we get dreams, and through dreams we're told stuff. You may have had a dream before. You think, "Oh my goodness, what is going on?" Right? That's a crazy dream. And the same thing happened to me. Whether you believe the dream comes from a divine power or not, this dream alerted me and caused me and motivated me to go down a rabbit hole to start researching the subject. And this is what I'm going to tell you about today, what I found out, what I discovered, the things that they're hiding from us, okay? They're lying to us, okay? The government is lying to us. And it's our right as Americans to know what's going on so we can take action. We can change things before things get bad. If you haven't noticed during the last, of course you've noticed, but during the last year and a half or so, prices have just gone like this. Month to month, we're experiencing inflation effects of 10, 15% in some cases. I think the month of June was 10% for bread or 12% in July as well. Meat has gone up. During the last year and a half, it's increased about 33 to 40% per pound. And things are just skyrocketing. Meanwhile, the U.S. government's telling us that, hey, the inflation is only about 8%. It's a bit above normal, which is like 4 or 5, but it's around 8. We're doing what we can to reduce the inflation and stuff. And it just doesn't add up. The math just doesn't add up. Why is the government telling us that we're only having 7-8% inflation, whereas we're noticing that things are getting way more expensive than that? Something just isn't adding up. And it's in our duty and our job as an American citizen to keep our government accountable. Essentially, the government, when they calculate inflation, which is how much the percentage of things increase based on your current purchasing power, they base it on an index. They base it on an index that uses fallible, bad math. Essentially, it's not to trust. Okay, when they come out with these inflation numbers, they're not real. The inflation numbers are based on what people spend. So, like, let's say 1 month people buy a lot of ribeye, but the next month they switch to cheaper cut of meat because they want to save some money. Well, that affects the inflation index. It makes it look less than it really is because they go on volume of things purchased from 1 month to the other. They go based on GDP, gross domestic product, and all this stuff. And they do a lot of quantitative easing, which is they purchase debt through money printing to make things look better. So on the surface level, they're saying, hey, things are okay, things are looking pretty good, but they're not. They're covering their tracks. And I'm an independent, okay? I'm an independent politician. And I want you to know that. I'm not going after one party or the other. I'm just telling you how things are. You understand? So they're covering the tracks. During COVID crisis, and I talk a lot about this in my book, Reviving the American Dream, 3 essential steps to winning back our country before it's too late, an urgent call for all Americans to rise up and fight while we still can. There's a link below this video to get your free copy. All you do is donate towards shipping and handling. I'll get this out to you right away. So get a hold of your copy. Nonetheless, I talk a lot about this, about what I'm telling you about in this book, that basically under COVID, the government got a license to do whatever they want. So they printed trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars secretly, okay? We saw a little bit in the form of stimulus checks. And I'll break down the math in this book, so check it out. It's free. I just want to get the word out there. I want people to stand up, rise up before it's too late, before things get, go off the deep end. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, they print trillions of dollars during the COVID crisis. They throw a few nickels out, essentially, to us, and they make us think that everything's okay. Oh, I got stimulus money. Okay, stimulus, cool. We're spending the money, everything's good. But that's just like pennies on the dollar compared to how much money they printed during the COVID crisis. And a lot of that money, we don't know what happened to it. A lot of it says, quote unquote, infrastructure, quantitative easing. Like, they're just throwing money around like crazy. When you print that much money, it's going to cause insane amounts of inflation. And also production issues during COVID where we couldn't produce, everything was shut down. Printing the money that they did gave us a false sense of the economy is going well. And for a while it was, because there's availability of things, right? There wasn't as much pressure and strain on the system, but then we started feeling it. Then the prices started rising. Then the war in Ukraine started, and Russia, and the sanctions, and all that going on. In China, the issues we're having with them as well. There's a lot going on, okay? And around the world, this isn't just America. This is around the world as well. I'm married to a lovely Danish woman, Maria. We've been married for 15, almost 16 years. I have 4 kids. And I've lived in Denmark for many, many years. So I know what goes on over there, okay? I understand Europe. I understand things going on as well. Right now in Europe, there's a huge crisis as well. What's the issue? Socialism is taking over. And I know some of you may understand and think, oh, I think socialism is cool because the government helps us out, takes care of things. No, it's not. Obviously, the government needs to take care of its people. Guaranteeing life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. That's the job of our U.S. government. Our government is to make sure to use the funds that taxpayers give it to guarantee that we have a life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness for all citizens, right? Socialism is control. Socialism is a government getting power hungry, wanting to essentially take over and control a people. It's controlling them to get their agenda through, right? We're seeing this all over Europe right now, where there's a lot of socialism that's come through after COVID, and we're feeling the effects of it now. Okay, and what's happening over here, and why is this important to what's going on in America? Well, perfectly stoppable war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, which when they surrounded Ukraine, we had a chance to jump in. We had a chance to stop things as the world's police. We are America, United States of America is the world's, we are the world's police. We had a chance to get things stopped, but they watched, they sat around, allowed Russia to attack Ukraine, and they allowed this whole scenario to unfold. Why? Why? Because many reasons, but for one, it distracted from everything going on, all the effects of what they did during COVID, right? And two, because there's an agenda behind it, a new world order, if I may say, an order of things that they're trying to push to get more and more control worldwide. Because what did you see after Russia attacked Ukraine, which is a poster child for the NWO, okay, whatever world order is going on. Basically, you notice that the world started working even more together against Russia, putting in sanctions, doing this, doing that. And because of this war in Ukraine, they call it the world's breadbasket. And so because of this war going on over there now, we're feeling the effects of it as well. With gas supply issues in Europe, there's huge natural gas supply issues. They're doing rationing right now. You may not hear this, but they're doing rationing in Germany. They're starting to spread out rationing in the other parts of Europe. Why? Because they've shut off gas from Russia. Russia gives supplies Europe with about 20% of the natural gas that it needs to get things done. So without natural gas, the prices go up because the increase goes up. Same you saw with oil, with gas prices and your cars as well. And it makes things more expensive. In Holland, the government's insuring, for example. In Holland, they're huge exporters worldwide of flowers, vegetables, and many things. It's a farm country. And the government stepped in and said, hey, in the next 8 years, we want to cut down our CO2 by half from farming, which basically means what? Lack of supply, lack of food, huge price increases. So in the name of the green agenda, many of these countries are essentially hurting themselves, shooting themselves in the feet. And this is what's happened, going back to the United States. This is the poster child. Europe is the poster child of a lot in this current administration. The people who are on the extreme left, who are more towards extreme socialism, right? They're using Europe as a reference, as a poster child to push this agenda through in America. And let me tell you something you've heard many times said, you may have heard this, that Copenhagen in Denmark, which my wife's from Denmark, I've lived there for many years, like I said, it's the poster child of the happiest place in the world. And they tout that all over, right? All over America, and do reports on it and stuff about how it's so happy. Everybody's happy. There's healthcare, there's this and that and the other thing. You know what? I've lived here for over 10 years, and I have to tell you, I do not see that happiness everywhere. I see a lack of freedom, a control. You can't speak your mind here. You have no right to defend yourself in any way here, right? And I write more about this in this book, so pick up your copy, okay? It's free, just cover shipping and handling. Click on the link below this video. But essentially, you don't have any freedoms. You don't have any freedoms. Government decides, you listen, right? And that's their choice. And if they like that, good for the Danes. But I'm telling you, we're heading in this direction in America. And our country was not built on those principles. It was built on freedom, right? Freedom. Life, liberty, life, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. That's not how our country was built. Denmark's Denmark. It has its history. Scandinavia, Scandinavia. Europe's Europe. Most of them were monarchies, which then gradually moved into a more of a democratic monarchy, socialistic democracy, move that direction. That's not what we did. We fought against the greatest power in the world, England, to get freedom, to do things how we want, right? We became the world's #1 source of innovation because we attracted innovators from around the world, people who sought religious freedom. Because in America, you're allowed to believe how you want, okay? We attracted people who wanted to start a life, wanted to seek and pursue their dreams, right? That's the roots of our country, is that freedom. We're a country where we are the kings and queens. We don't have a king or queen. In fact, in the Declaration of Independence, it states clearly that there'll be no titles. The Constitution, it guarantees there's no exceptions. There's no privilege based on titles, based on, like you have in Europe, you have barons or baronesses or kings or queens or princesses, whatever it may be. There are no privileges because everybody is created equal. We are brothers and sisters. And together in our shared democracy, we are the kings and queens. We are the power. So whoever's in power, in charge now, thinking that they got the power, thinking that they should make all the decisions, that is not respecting democracy. It is illegal to our founding values and founding principles for our country. And something needs to change. And we need to rise up and we need to do something about it. And I tell you what, going back to the food shortages, it's only going to get worse. Do you know why? Well, first, the US is allowing China to buy huge amounts of land to plant, to sow, and to reap those lands. And they reap those lands and they send the crops directly to China. So using our land to sow and to reap and send to China. Do you understand that? China's doing that all over South America too. All over South America, they're going in to take advantage of the resources to then send it to their country. China is communist, right? China is not America's friend. Russia is not America's friend. You realize right now that China and Russia are doing basically joint military drills, basically imitating attacks on America. Do you realize that China has basically models of our different ships and our Navy? They've built models and they've trained exercises on attacking and destroying our fleets. Do you realize this? So every time you get something and on back it says made in China, realize that we are supporting that communism. We are supporting a country that wants to attack and possibly take us over, who would love to wage war on us, who would love to infiltrate our democracy, which they are as well. In fact, a lot of these leaders in our country are in bed with communism. They're in bed with socialism, and they're trying to allow it to grow like cancer in our country. And the cancer is spreading. But we're getting tired, aren't we? Because whether you believe in the values of socialism or whatever it may be or not, or parts of it, things are getting worse. And they're going to get bad. And they're going to get way worse before they get better. That's why we need to stand up now before it's too late. Because there's a course correction that can happen. With the trillions of dollars printed during COVID, with the production halting, with the bad agreements and decisions all along the way, we are going to reap a horrible harvest because of that. And you're feeling that in the effects of inflation. I know you are. I know that your paycheck each month is becoming more and more constrained. I know that the pressure on you is getting greater so that you're thinking, having to consider and decide between paying bills sometimes and buying food for some people. And that can get worse. Why? Because inflation is the biggest indirect tax that exists. Do you realize that? In other words, it's easier to make inflation happen than to increase taxes. And that's what this administration, many people in this administration have done. By printing all this money, trillions of dollars of money, they are putting an indirect tax on you. Another example is recently the $500 billion that goes to ease student loans. That money will come out of your wallet in the form of inflation, another indirect tax, right? Whether you agree with it or not, you're going to pay for it. And they go talk about, in the model they're using again, Scandinavia, in Denmark, people can go to university for free. They get a stipend for free to go to university. Okay, my wife did as well. She's Danish. But let me tell you something. It's not free. Do you realize how much tax they pay here in Denmark and over in Denmark? I'll give you an example. And let me ask you, is this what you want for America? Let's say you want to buy a new car. It's $35,000. Brand new car, right? That same car in Denmark. Let's not speak bad about the country, but I'm just telling you how it is, okay? If they like it that way, cool. 35,000, multiply that by a factor of 2.8 roughly to 2.5. Yes, I'm serious. The price goes up to $90,000 to $100,000. That same car will cost you around $100,000 in Denmark. The exact same car. And then on top of that, you're not going to be paying $4 a gallon for fuel or $3.50 or whatever, right? You're going to be paying $8 to $9 a gallon for fuel. You're going to be paying 3 times electricity costs. You're going to be paying 40 to 60% of your salary in tax. You're going to be paying 25% sales tax, property tax through the roof, right? That is their model. That's the decision. That's how they want it. God bless them. That's not what our model's like. That's not where our country comes from. We're a country based on freedom, right? We're not going to accept that. See what I mean? We want freedom. We want to do things our way in America. We're like all the innovation comes from here, right? You go to all these countries who have different models, and what do? What do they have in common? They all look up to America because America is the source of innovation, the source of freedom. We're an example to be followed, and that is at risk right now. That is being hurt, and we need to stand up. Because with the green agenda going on right now, which is copied from Europe as well, that this current administration is pushing through, this green agenda is gonna break our legs. It is. Because do you realize that when gas prices were the highest in America, that we had a chance to bring them down? We had a chance to drill for oil in a respectful way for our environment. And I know you may be thinking, hey, but oil combustion is not the way of the future. And I agree, it isn't. It's limited. It's a limited resource. But you can't just flip a switch one day to the next. You can't just flip a switch and expect that everything will work out just fine. It's a process that takes decades, okay? This is going to take us 20, 30 years before we're switched over to green energy, per se. And by that time, we'll have the technology to make it happen as well. And that comes through innovation and not control. And our government is pushing control like nothing else right now. You understand that? A lot of what we're suffering, what we're feeling, is on purpose. The government wants us to be eating bugs, and that's not a joke. They're trying to harvest and process bugs on a massive level so that we don't get our beef, so that we don't get our chicken, so we don't get whatever else it is, right? And me personally, I don't eat a lot of meat. I do eat meat, but I don't eat a lot. I make sure when I eat meat that it's good meat, right? But if you eat meat every day, cool. I just want to tell you that what's happening right now is control. So one of the things that happened is there's been some rules passed recently, laws about the production of meat in America, where the government is in charge of approving meat production. What does that mean? Let's say you have a farmer. Let's say he has 50 head of cattle. Now 50 head of cattle, he wants to get processed to then get the meat packed and sell at supermarkets and so on. In order to do so, with the current rules, with this socialist trend and push the government's trying to get and maintain, this farmer, he needs to get permission, get an inspection date with a federal USDA federal inspection facility in his state. He may have to drive 3-4 hours. He will have to do it a year and a half in advance, okay? And he can't do anything like fast, right? And this causes just a huge bottleneck, delays, and it's expensive. Yet the testing that has to be done on cattle these days makes it so that the little men, the rancher, the farmer who has 50 head of cattle, 100 head of cattle, he can barely afford it because of the demands. In fact, there's a bill right now being put into House of Representatives, I believe, I think it's called Prime or something like that, which will make it so that this is from the farmers themselves, right? Or the ranchers themselves. They've come forward with this and said, hey, this is what needs to happen, which is what? Allowing this on the state level, them to produce their cattle, or how would you say, process their cattle. So I'll give you an example. Take Farmer Joe, who has 50 head of cattle. He has got 50 head of cattle to produce, but he doesn't have a date set, and he can't wait a year or a year and a half. He can't afford all the inspections as well, but he needs to get his cattle butchered or slaughtered so that he can get the meat, otherwise it's not going to work out. Let's say down the road he has a local production facility that he can go to, get it slaughtered and processed. He's not allowed to sell that. So he'll have all this meat just sitting there from all this cattle that he's not allowed. It's illegal to sell. Even though this facility is inspected, monitored, even though this farmer can go in and talk to the owner of the facility, the local businessman, and see how things are done, it's ridiculous. This is just one example of how socialism is going to kill our country. Because we have the innovation. We understand how things work. We are the people that are able to make things happen in our country. But if you have a government making all decisions based on a political agenda that have no understanding about how things work, things are not going to go well. And we're seeing that now. So with this green agenda, right? This green agenda that's being pushed so hard right now in the government, it's breaking our legs, breaking our kneecaps, busting our kneecaps, I guess you could call it. And it's not a joking matter. It's hurtful, it's painful. They don't want us to process beef. They want us to go vegetarian and vegan. They want to push us to do so. Or alternatively, eat bugs. And I've tasted bugs before, and let me tell you, they're not that good. They taste like nothing. It's weird. I had some cricket crackers once. It was like 80% crickets. And I said, well, what the heck? It was marked down, discounted heavily at the supermarket because nobody wanted to buy it. So I brought it home and I said, let's taste them. Let's see what it's like. And so we grabbed some cricket crackers, took some bites, of it. And they were super chewy. They were nasty. It was salty. It was just weird. It's like a good source of protein, this, that, but who wants to eat bugs? And that's part of the green agenda. The green agenda wants us to worship this earth and be a slave to this earth. You understand that? I am not a slave to this earth. I worship a big God that can do anything if we ask him to. And I believe that. And I'm not worried about climate change. Do we need to take care of the earth? Yes. Does climate change happen? Yes. Are we going to figure it out? Yes. If we're allowed to, as innovators. I'm a businessman myself. I've had 3-4 businesses. I closed them all down to run for office, to run for Congress, to represent you, right? In fact, recently, through my connections, I did a lot of this in Brazil. Recently, I was in Brazil's capital, federal capital, and I met up with a senator, a representative of Congress as well, to talk about some things going on. I'm already acting in the function of a congressman. I'm not even voted in yet. I'm already doing it. I'm already building bridges between countries. I'm not even elected in yet. So vote for me, okay? You live west of Orlando. You need to vote for me. Nonetheless, I was there meeting with some of these politicians. We're talking about these things going on, this agenda, and they're talking about how China's surrounding Brazil, trying to invade them as well and take over, and how if they get the ex-president that was there already, who went to prison and so on and so forth, that things would just go off the deep end. And they said, hey, the trade between America and Brazil isn't that good. Brazil is the richest country in the world. You realize that, as far as natural resources. My goodness, they are so rich. And it's so easy to work stronger together with our brothers in South America. And I was talking to one of the cabinet members for a senator in Roraima, is the state, way up in the north. Big state, tons of land. And, Brazil's about the size of the United States of America. If you don't realize that, it's huge. The maps show it differently because, America's in the center, and because it's a globe and they try to make it flat, it makes it unequal. But yeah, the continent of Brazil, or the country of Brazil, is almost as big as America. It's big. So they got a lot of space too. A lot of very rich soil, the richest soil in the world. And that's why I say the richest country in terms of that. Because in GDP they aren't, but they have the potential, right? So anyways, he's telling me like, hey, we've got so much potential here. We're ready to go. You need fertilizer. You need crops. You need grain. You need whatever. We can make this happen. What's the problem now? Because of the sanctions on Russia, because of the war in Ukraine, 20% of our wheat production has been cut off, roughly, right, of imports in the world. This is going to affect our pocketbook even more, right? You got the green agenda pushing against anything with meat, anything with fossil fuels, and they're trying to force their hand and make us suffer on purpose. Why? Because we'll come crawling to them for a solution. They're pushing electric cars. Nothing against electric cars, though electric cars are created. The amount of pollution involved in creating an electric car, the batteries and everything, is insane. I've heard some say that it's worse than fossil fuel cars. Why? Because you got the lithium, you got the manufacturing, you got the batteries, and all this waste involved in building the battery technology in the car itself. But what's going on there? That's over somewhere else where we don't care, right? That's over in China. That's over in India. That's over in whatever. It's other places it pollutes, right? It's just weird. It's shifting the problem. But you have this green agenda being pushed over us, and essentially making us feel the pain. So we want to run to whatever they tell us. And then they subsidize, the meat industry. They subsidize in certain ways to get things to happen the way how they want it to. They subsidize electric cars so that we're forced to switch. That's not how it works. We should not be forced or controlled to do anything. We should be stimulated. We should be motivated. We should be called to do things to make change for this country. That's how it works. That's the American model. innovation. We have the solutions. We have the ideas. We have the plans. We, the people, will figure this out together. So I'm calling on you who's watching this, wherever you're watching this from. Just put in the comment field, if you feel like it, that I will make a change. Okay? I'll make a change. Just make a commitment with me. You may not know how right now, but you will soon. The first change you can make is in these midterm elections. Vote. Please vote. I know many of you feel like, hey, it's irrelevant. A lot of these people that are running for office are like 70 plus, lifetime politicians, and in some cases that may be. A lifetime politician is out of touch. I'm sorry to say, but if you're 70 plus and you're a career politician, you should probably consider a different, you should probably just consider retiring, right? Thank you. I respect you for your service in the government, right? And I'll respect any leader that's there. I'm just saying it how it is. They need to probably think about retiring and make room for us that are younger, us that understand how things are, us that feel things, us that have families. That's the American model for democracy, is that we, whoever we are, can be voted into office. Whether you're a plumber, a teacher, a businessman like myself, whatever it may be, you can come in and represent this wonderful nation. And that's what makes this nation great. Well, the problem is we have East versus West gang wars per se in the government, where parties are just fighting each other for power and more power. And each party is almost just as guilty as the other. You may say one's worse than the other. You may be on one side or the other. But if you're picking sides, you're becoming part of the problem. You need to get out of party-based gang wars, because that's not the solution. The solution is us. The solution isn't polarity. The solution is stepping up and looking to those who will bear the torch, who carry the torch for the future of our children, our children's children, and our families in this country. So that's why I say vote for me. Why? Because I'm standing up for what's right, for what's for the best interest of this country. Okay? And if you live west of District of Orlando, District 11, Congressional District 11, share this with your friends. Or if you have friends that live in that area, just west of Orlando, share it with them as well. They need to hear my message. Okay? I'm going independent. You may think, hey, independents can't be voted in. And many times they aren't. Why? Because they don't follow the party path. The parties have the power, the influence, the connections to get them platforms, to get them money. I'm going against all odds as an independent. But I tell you what, I will win. And you'll see why. I'm going to push hard. I'm not going to back down. Okay? You'll learn more about my story in this book. Like I said, go pick yourself up a free copy right now. There's a link below this video in the comment section where you can click on it. It's Kevin4 Congress, Kevin4Congress.com/free-book, free-book. And the link should be in the comment section. Grab yourself a copy of Reviving the American Dream. 3 essential steps to winning back our country before it's too late. An urgent call for all Americans to rise up and fight while we still can. Okay? And a beautiful backside. You can read all about it. It's free. Okay? I want to get this out to as many people as I can before it's too late. As many Americans who care about the future of their country as I can before it's too late. Grab yourself a copy. It's free. You just donate towards shipping and handling. I don't make anything on this at all. In fact, I lose on it when you consider all the costs involved. So click on the link, go over to my site. You have the option to page. You'll just learn more about the book. And on that page, you'll see more about the book. You'll be able to order yourself a copy. Just cover shipping and handling. I'll have it right out to you as fast as I can, okay? I just want to thank you so much for tuning in, for listening to my message, what I have to tell you, which is a message for all, okay? Things are going off the deep end, all right? We need to make change. We need to stand up. We need to fight for our country. We need to raise up as one voice as we can, as us Americans are able to. That's what we're known for. We're fighters. We're not going to back down. Don't back down. Fight with me. Fight with me. If you can't vote for me, vote for someone who can fight for you in your district. Grab my book. Follow me. Share this message. Share this video to as many as you can. Think of at least 5 people right now you can share this video with. At least 5 people. Let's move forward. Let's make this happen. Just want to thank you. I want to tell you you're appreciated. You're loved. You're special. Okay? You're chosen. You're capable. And you're going to make a difference. Together, we're going to make a difference. All right? We'll catch you on this next live. On the next live event, I'm doing Facebook Lives every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you follow this page, you can get updated about the lives and stuff, Facebook Lives, and you can hear more of what I have to say. I have many more things to tell you, a lot more to tell you and share with you, and I can't wait. So we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for today. All right, goodbye now.